Hello and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal preview show. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles. On the preview show tonight, I'm joined by regular guest Eamonn to look ahead to our massive Super Sunday clash against Pep Guardiola's resurgent Manchester City side at the Emirates Stadium, live on Sky Sports Premier League at 4:30 Sunday, February 2nd. And remember to check out our official supporters club, the River Bar in Dublin City Centre. So sit back and enjoy the show. Before I kick on, I'd just like a big shout out to Matt's daughter Megan and her friend Michael, who were in the River Bar last night. They're two of our biggest listeners. I said I'd give them a shout out. So there you go, lads. And thanks to Matt as well for a nice creamy pint of Guinness alongside Eamonn last night. I'm joined by Eamonn Donnelly as always in the previous show. How are you, Eamonn?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Michael. Evening, Megan there. Man, a fellow now there went to a doctor. He got a steering wheel down his underpants. The doctor said, "What happened?" He said, "I don't know, but it's driving me nuts."
I have to say, I don't know. Every show you come up on, new ones. I have to give it. There should be a prize at the end of this season.
A compendium at the end of the year.
If you watched our review show we done for Girona, all Eamonn wants is a Corley Worley. So, all listeners, let's hope that by the end of the season. Eamonn's just back from his five-a-side this evening. Did you have a good game, Eamonn?
It was a scrappy enough affair. It was one of the more forgettable games, you know. I'll put it to you this way: defenses were on top. Yeah.
It's Chopper Donnelly at the back.
Yeah.
Of course, Eamonn will be at this one alongside Matt and his daughter on Sunday. The Manchester City is up next at home. I remember her saying to me last night that she's been to 16 matches. I think 12 of them include a draw. So hopefully on Sunday we'll see a victory there, Megan, against Man City. At the moment, Man City's league form stands at 23 played. They've won 12, drawn 5, lost 6 with 41 points, and they're in fourth at the moment. Last night they went 1-0 down to Club Brugge in the Champions League on match day 8. Came back to win 3-1. Savino really impressive when I look back at the highlights there today. They just managed to sneak into that playoff. I think they finished 22nd. Eamonn, briefly, Manchester City, they've won their last 4 in the league now, coming kind of back into form as we expected, but they've had a very shaky season, haven't they? They're being found out now with the legs are starting to get old, aren't they? Bit of freshen up. Yeah,
they're in transition, Jonathan, and even though they've won the last 4 games, they're still easier to play through than they were. You know, I have a theory about Man City that look, we know financial fair play, we know, but just if all that noise wasn't around, and it's not noise, there's substance to it. But if you just analyse the players that we've been watching playing for them and how good they were, they've shown tremendous character over the years to come back year on year. But Liverpool pushed them so hard, and then we pushed them so hard, they broke.
Yeah.
And I predicted that at the start of the season that they would break. And they won their first 5 league games at the start of the season, and Haaland was banging in goals left, right, and centre. And people were saying, look, this is going to be a procession. And I said, no, them legs are going to tire, and they did. Losing Rodri was a massive thing because it made them easier to play through. So I think slowly but surely what he's done is he's managed to change the way they occupy spaces on the pitch to cover up for the fact that they don't have Rodri. But they're still easier to play through than they were. And teams get goals against them most games, you know.
I know any sort of run, if you push City right back, they're vulnerable, aren't they? Any teams with runners in the team, they panic, don't they? If you, as you said, if you get past their midfield, you have a chance there, haven't you? Because they're back.
I mean, I know they were in their absolute nadir at the time, but Spurs absolutely carved them open for, at will. But they're a different proposition now than they were then, and they went through a spell where I think it was 13 games.
It was.
They didn't get a win, but Chelsea could have scored a few against them last week.
Yeah, Chelsea they're kind of they've had a bit of a bumpy patch, Chelsea. But when they went 1-0 up, I thought Chelsea might have went for a second or third, but
they didn't. They should have.
Yeah.
They're in the ascendancy,
Yeah.
And I think that look, City are a team in transition, but one of the things about them, and I know they've had, I always had a great soft spot for Man City because they weren't Man United back in the day, you know. But when they were taken over by money, it changed everything. But they have spent their money on good players.
They have, yeah.
They have, It's all very well saying they spent this, that, but they bought good players, and they're buying them. You see, they can't go out and splurge the way they used to. All of that splurging was done in the period kind of 2009 to 2014, 15, and that's the foundation for them winning 6, 7 leagues,
Yeah.
But because the financial fair play eyes on them now, they can't do that. But they are buying good young players. Like Savinho was an excellent player. There was a lad they bought. I can't remember his name, Jonathan, because I'm only in from football. I didn't get a chance to look it up. He played last week against Chelsea. It began with a K. Very impressive.
Yeah, Cousin. Yeah, he's young. I think he's Uzbekistan. I think he's the first player to come from there. In around that Russian area. He made a mistake for the first goal, but he got his head back up and got himself back in the game again.
I'll tell you what I was really impressed with his work rate.
Yeah. For such a young lad coming into the league.
I just think that when Rodri went, they had a period where they were just too easy to play through. And if you look, the game that really stood out for me, I know they got carved by Tottenham, but you can have days like that, right? But the game that stood out for me was the one against Manchester United when they were at home. And they went 1-0 up. They laboured to a 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
But they were in charge. United were awful that day. And then United played through them twice in the last 5 minutes, But I think they've got, as I said, I think what he's done is, he's changed a few of the players. But also, he's changed the way they're set up on the pitch to cover up for the fact that Rodri, a la Gilberto back in the day for our team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he actually reminds me what Gilberto was.
Gilberto was a Rolls Royce. I've often, I don't be name dropping, but I've had occasion to be in Ray Parler's company. On a few occasions,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got talking to him. Actually, he was our corporate entertainer. One time he decided to go corporate for my dad and that, and Yeah, and he got talking about that team, and I'd met him before. And he said, "I'll tell you," and he says, obviously we had Thierry and Dennis. He said, "But we got some players then," and the first one he referenced was Gilberto. What a player! Every other player in that team knew how good Gilberto was. He wasn't particularly eye-catching in the stands, but every other player in that team appreciated just how good he was. And Rodri's very similar to him,
He goes about his business quietly, but
yeah.
In terms of Man City coming into this game, a few stats for the listeners. Erling Haaland is, of course, their top goal scorer with 18, followed by Phil Foden on 7 goals. Sorry, he's coming into a bit of form himself over lately.
Yeah.
Josko Guardiola with 5, Matthew Kovacic with 4, Doku has 3 goals, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and John Stones all share 2 goals. At presently, 5 clean sheets over the season in the Premier League. And coming into the game, injury-wise, they have Doku, Ake, Oscar Bob, of course, Rodri and Ruben Diaz out. And for ourselves, as we all know, Ben White, Bukayo Saka, he's out for the season. Odegaard and Tomiyasu, God knows when he'll be back.
Odegaard's not out, is he?
At the moment, there's a bit of a tweak there from last night, but I think he should be okay. Maybe
David Reyes could be out,
That's actually today. I was just looking at the Arsenal website, Eamonn. He's actually all good to go.
David Reyes.
Yeah, he got the thumbs up, so all going well. It's still early days. Yeah, it's still 3 days left of the match. Yeah. In terms of the transfer window, Eamonn, we signed no one, as we know ourselves, but for City, Omar Marmoush, the Egyptian international from Frankfurt, for £75 million. Kusanov, as you mentioned, the young defender, came from Lens. And they signed a fella from River Plate, Claudio Echeverri, who I think is coming next season. And of course, the high profile outgoing is Kyle Walker to AC Milan. What do you make of them signings, Eamonn, in terms of Marmoush seems to be a bit of a player?
But this is what I'm saying to you, Jonathan. For all the money they've had, they have to spend the same way as everybody else does now. And they spend big on players that they believe in. And they don't They don't buy the Mbappes of this world.
No. Yeah.
You know, they buy young players. Like the three of reference now, they weren't names on everybody's lips.
No, they're not. They're young. You do pretty good.
I wouldn't be put off with the fee on the basis that when a team from a league that's not kind of awash with money sees Man City coming, they put the old premium on, you know.
Yeah, you do. Yes.
Thankfully, you know. So I mean, they've taken gambles spending that much money on those players, but you've seen in the past with the guys they've recruited, the central defenders that they've had over the years, they weren't world renowned either, you know.
Yeah, he was a decent back, isn't he? Yeah. Were you surprised, Eamonn, at Kyle Walker going? Did you think his legs were gone? Do you think Guardiola saw through that? You know, he was having a bit of a mirror, wasn't he, of his season?
Oh, his legs are totally gone.
Yeah.
And by the way, he was a player who absolutely relied on his legs because his defensive position wasn't great.
Yeah, he had to cover for that.
He was terrific going forward, and he was terrific recovering because his starting position as a defender was never great. You know, he always used his legs to get him out, and you know he found out. You know,
there was one game, Eamonn, I don't know if you remember, it was against Fulham this season, and it was Adama Traore. Now he is fast, but Walker was literally panting when he got back. You know, he was struggling to get back, and I think there was other games where he was being cut out for pace, and when he looked, the camera pointed to him, you could see. I say you can already see himself thinking, "God, my legs are gone here. You know, I can't keep up."
If I was marking it down Traore, I'd actually just put a second ball on the pitch and say, "Run after that." He's the most frustrating player I've ever seen.
Just don't know what you're going to get out of him.
Oh, just stop, you know.
Yeah. That Marmouche, though, from the times I've seen him at Frankfurt, he's got a cracking strike on him. There was one or two chances he got at Chelsea, and he can hit them, can't he? You can see he's going to be a bit of a player there, I think, for City, yeah. I know we mentioned this in our previous show, but Eamonn, briefly, with a few days to the transfer window to go, hand on heart as a Gooner, do you think we'll dip our toe into the transfer market? I know we've talked about this pretty briefly, but
I think we want to.
Yeah.
I think we want to. Like, you know, can we do it? I don't know, but I think we want to. I mean, we do want to. Sure, we put down money for Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
So that I mean, we didn't do that just for effect. We wanted to buy him, so we want to add somebody to the squad. But Arteta is really, really hell bent on making sure that we don't just get a body.
Yeah.
You know, there's not just a body, like
the right fit.
There has to be the right fit. Yeah. It has to be somebody we want.
Yeah.
You pay double in January, see, so you're gonna pay double. You've got to be somebody you want. Otherwise, we'll be all. The summer's a long out transfer window to be open for all of us to be tapping our fingers saying, "Well, geez, it doesn't seem as if we're buying anybody." Why? Because we blew half the budget on somebody we didn't really want back in January. You know, the other side of it is, in the middle of the season, we were absolutely blessed to get Jorginho and Trossard when we did, because they were ready-made.
Yeah,
you know, they came right out of the shelf. You know, Premier League ready. Here, you're playing for them last week. You can play for us next week. You know, you mightn't get that from somebody else.
It's kind of.
I suspect we will do something.
Yeah, I think we'll go down to the very last day, the transfer deadline day. I think. It's hard to know, isn't it? Yeah, Arteta always has. We always kind of pull something out of the bag. So hopefully a nice surprise come the end of the transfer window. But it has to be the right fit, as you said, Eamonn. Yeah, spot on.
Remember one particular transfer window when I think it was, when was the first year we won the cup after 2014, and we were all screaming out, and Wenger pulled Kim Kallstrom at the last season.
Remember him, yeah.
Right, and it turned out he had a broken back.
I remember he came out and said that.
Playing beach volleyball or something, and done his back in, you know.
I remember seeing him against Wigan Athletic. I think it was in the semi-final.
He scored a winning penalty.
Yeah, and I think that's all he'll ever be remembered for. Yeah. He's kind of like that Dennis Suarez lad we saw. I remember we just were just going in there and never fitted. You know, just.
I think Dennis Suarez had 2 games for Arsenal and 2 touches in those entire 2 games. You know.
I think our very own Dennis would have got a game that season. I think, to be honest, he was in the River Bar last night. What a man, as you said,
He was
when
doing
you
it.
ball
He
to
was,
taking photographs of the stand.
yeah, that's right. When he was playing up front for us, I looked at one stage and he was like David Bailey taking a photograph of the stand. And the game was on, but he was also drowning out the commentator last night. He was quite boisterous last night.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, when he gets one or two into it, he's a different man. Yeah, that was cracking atmosphere though last night in the River. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
In terms of City's league form, we do a few matches here. They've won their last 4, of course, in the league. 3-1 against Chelsea, of course, last weekend. Guardiola, Haaland, and Foden. They gave Ipswich Town a bit of a stonking, 6-0. Foden with 2, Kovacic, Doku, Haaland, and McAtee, who seems to be a bit of a player. He was on loan at Sheffield United last season. 14-4, Brentford, that 2-all draw when they were 2-0 up. Foden had 2 goals, and then Wissa Norgard came back to get the draw. And then, of course, they won 4-1 at the start of the month at home against West Ham. Soufal with an OG, Haaland with 2, and Foden. And, of course, last night, 1-0 down against Club Brugge. I think their club shop went on fire, I think. I was nearly like, Guardiola says he was looking at post-match, he says to the reporters, I could see the headlines, we didn't get through this. 1-0 down to win 3-1. Yourself, Eamonn, as you just said, they're starting to hit a bit of form now, City, aren't they? It's getting down to business now.
Yeah, but they've got good players. But I don't buy this. It's getting down to business now, and they're all of a sudden going to win every game at the end of the season. That is not the team that will do that.
Do you believe that there's still another hiccup in them? You know, do you think this is just temporary form? And you know,
I think they'll win most of their games. But this notion that somehow now they'll turn around 50 points out of 18 games, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they don't have the depth in the squad.
They don't have the aura of invincibility.
Yeah, he's actually even admitted that himself, Guardiola, didn't he? He says, we're not that team anymore. You know, we've lost that magic, I think was the term he used.
He might have been trying out.
I know he's at times. I think he has, though, Eamonn. I think you'll agree. He has seen his team this season struggle, haven't they? You know, when you lose the likes of Rodri, like ourselves with Saka, it's very hard to get a player of that quality replaced. You know, like Kovacic isn't really a Rodri, is he?
No, he's not. He's a different type of player. But I mean, when you see them bringing back Gundogan at 33,
yeah, that's desperate, isn't it? It's kind of you can see he's completely.
Rodri's
passing by now, going to him, can't he?
They can't really say, he's a very good footballer, though.
Yeah, good footballer.
He can hurt you he can hurt you. He's a great arrival time in attacks. He's a great timing to join an attack, you know.
That's actually good. Yeah, he is a very clever player. In terms of Arsenal Man City head to head, is that here? Arsenal have won 99, draws 48, and City have won 65. So it'd be nice to get to the 100th victory on Sunday against them. Of course, the biggest victory was 5-0 over Man City back in 27th of October 2000. We won 5-0. I think Sylvain Viltor scored a couple of goals in that game. And City bet us 5-0 during that period where we lost 3 in a row back in 2021. I think Jesus scored 2 actually that day. I think we had a player sent off, I think, as well.
Yeah, Granit Xhaka was sent off after 9 minutes.
Yeah, it was. I think that was when we actually reached bottom of the table. That's how low it went, and then it was nothing but upwards. Then after that, in shared history in terms of players, just briefly, Sterling, Jesus, Zinchenko, Seaman, Clichy, Sagna, Andy Cole, Adebayor, Paul Dickov, Samar Nasri, and Nicholas Anelka, to name a few that have played for both clubs. Really good players, we have to say now there, aside from a certain Adebayor. In terms of our last meeting, 2-2, of course, back in September. Haaland scored for City, Stones in the 98th minute, Calafiori for herself with that screamer from outside the box, and Gabriel, we were 2-0 actually at half time. Then that, of course, Michael Oliver had to send another Arsenal player off, this time Trossard. If that didn't happen, Eamonn, just briefly, you know, we reviewed this back in September. I think if that record didn't happen, we would have probably gone on to beat City. We were that good in that first half, weren't we?
Oh, we got totally on top in that game.
Yeah.
And do you know what it was? And this seldom happened. You see, they came at us and they got the goal after 10 minutes. And normally the Arsenal that they were used to rolling over, that was the end of it, right? We saw out the first 15 or 20 minutes and then start dominating the ball. Got our 2 goals. And we were bullying them. we were bullying them. And I don't mean kicking them off the park. We were bullying them. We were stronger than them. We were better on the ball. We were in better. Now, Rodri had gone off. They were coping with that. And then Michael Oliver just changed everything. And then we came out in the second half and we defended like heroes. And gobshites like Jamie Carragher criticised us for being defensive. Like,
Mike says, how could you call it a good point when Arsenal sat back for 45 minutes? It's says, what do you do against Manchester City, against Eamonn? Open up play to be the
but you see the same. Yeah, but you see
I know for Roy Keane though, as you said.
But Roy is great old cracking. Roy is turning into Eamonn, don't he? Like he's great old cracking.
He's turning into.
Roy knows his football. I'd say he says a lot for effect on television.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the same Roy Keane would be saying, had Arsenal gone gung-ho with 10 players and got carved open and beaten 5-2, he'd say, go do your job. Go do your job. And he'd be giving out. Like, so, yeah.
In terms of our own form, Eamonn, in January, the month started off 1-1 away at Brighton, 2-1, of course, in the North London Derby, 2-2 against Villa, and 1-0 last weekend against Wolves. What have you made of our form in the month of January when you take it all in? And obviously regarding injuries, it's been a hectic month, but a good month, I think, all in aside from the Newcastle result, hasn't it?
Incredible in the context of the successive blow after blow that we've had to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, well, 1-0 up at Brighton, we have young Lanyardi on the pitch because we're down to the bare bones. He lights up the place, scores a goal, and then goes off injured at half time. And then we concede the most bizarre penalty I've ever seen.
I've seen that. Yeah.
The 2-1 North London Derby, we battered them 2-1. We were good that night. We were really good that night.
Yeah.
The 2-2 against Villa, I was at that game. Really, 2 defensive slips, but again, we were patched up that day again. Thomas Partey was at right for a lot of that type of stuff, and the 1-0 against Wolves. Well, that was that would go on the cockles of our heart now in terms of the fact that we could have rolled over and died there. This is going to be a tight game on Sunday.
Yeah,
this is going to be a 1-0. This is not going to be
You think it could be a game, Eamonn, like back in last season where we won 1-0 late on through Martinelli? Do you think it'd be that type of game?
I think it'd be a similar type game.
Yeah, where one mistake could win it. Yeah. Like it's been an incredible run of form from the 9th of November when we drew 1-1 at the Bridge. We haven't lost a league game, and as you said, with the amount of injuries we've had from that date onwards, and obviously red cards when you throw that in as well, to be, as you said last night to me in the pub, to be still fighting for the title and into the next round of the Champions League, it's nothing short of really.
In the face of what we've had to do, it's nothing short of incredible. There was a bit of me. I said this on last week's show. There was a bit of me at halftime of the Wolves game saying, just end this season.
Yeah.
There's so much shit going on, and I just decided, well, no, we'll stick with it. And I think the team did us proud last weekend. It's going to be tough on Sunday. I actually think we're the more balanced team, and I think we won't fear Man City.
No. I think with Arteta coming up against Guardiola as well, there's kind of there's a bit of spice in it as well, isn't there? And like when our last few games, like 1-0, I think you were at that game, weren't you, last season, the 1-0 at the Emirates?
I was, yeah.
And the 0-0 away from home at the Etihad, that was another very strong performance. Jesus missed a sitter, remember, that could have won the game. So in the last few games, I know we won, obviously the Community Shield kind of stands for nothing, but we haven't really been out the last 4 or 5 odd games against City. You can see we're getting better. We're at that level.
The last number of times we've played them, we've probably shaded it.
Yeah, I thought so myself, Eamonn. Yeah,
we shaded it. But the game last year, actually, what I hadn't seen Man City in the flesh for quite a while until that game last season. But what was standing in the clock end, what I learned about them was the way they press. Honest to God, I was mesmerised. Now, not much happened in the first half in that game, but if they don't all go charging, it's not a big high press like the Liverpool press or whatever, but they inched their way up. And if you remember, at one point in that game, Arteta called David Raya over, and he wasn't long in the goals, and told them to go over the press because we needed to regain territory on the
It's
yeah.
But in terms of aside from Hannah, obviously you'd fear him and Fold, but what other players would you fear on Sunday, Eamon, that could cause us a bit of bother?
The Man City have players that can hurt you. Savinho can hurt you.
Yeah, does he remind you of Eamon briefly? Sorry, does he remind you a bit of Mahrez in him? You know, the way he runs, actually, you know, kind of similar.
He's quicker. He's quicker.
Yeah.
Mahrez didn't have massive pace. He just had he'd a lovely body swerve that got him into position. No, Savinho's very quick. We're quick defenders, you know. And Saliba has done well on Haaland. You know,
he has actually, hasn't he, over the last couple of weeks? Yeah, he's frustrated him, particularly again at the Etihad in September. That was a good old scrap, that one actually. Yeah, I love that bit of boys, you know. As he said, stay humble. So we'll see who will be humble on Sunday. Do you see us? I know I won't go for a score prediction, but do you think we'll sneak us? Do you think it'll be a tight game, 1 or 2-0?
I think we can, yeah.
I'll go well. That will be live on Sky Sports Premier League, as I said, at 4:30. You can also watch it in the River Bear, the official Dublin Arsenal Sports Club, and of course Eamonn will have the best eat in the house being at it. In terms of goal of the month, Eamonn, it's been a busy month in January. I went myself with Leandro Trossard against Spurs. I thought he had a great in terms of yourself, Eamonn?
The goal of the month that I had for me was last night's one.
Yeah, Dan Weirdy.
Dan Weirdy, yeah.
Yeah, there's quite
the bravery he showed and the skill, you know.
Yeah,
I really like that goal. It was a proper goal, you know.
Yeah. I could see your reaction. You really like that goal.
There's a lot more to come from him. Actually, when he scored it, I just said to you, that's quality. That's diamond quality, you know.
Yeah, everyone has said it though in the pub. They're really excited what's to come from this young lad, aren't they? And he hopefully causes City a bit of damage. Player of the month, Eamonn, for January.
Yeah.
One, isn't it? Because a few of them stood out. Declan Rice and Trossard I thought Rice had a great month actually. To be honest,
Trossard's had a very good few weeks, but I think to be honest with you, I'm going to give it to Yuri and Timber. I think he's been.
You said that last night.
I think he's been really on it now. You know, really on it. You know.
What do you like, Eamonn, about Yuri and Timber? What kind of sets him apart? You know, this is like his first full season.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's a very good footballer. Yeah. Right. He's got good pace. He's got good positional awareness. He's good on the ball, but a bit like Ben White, there's a bit of spite in him.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? Yeah, he got a bit of he's got a bit of thing of it. Yeah,
he has there's a bit of spite in him, you know.
Yeah, he can rile up players, can't he?
I was going to say about Fabregas. There's a bit of the devil in him.
Yeah, I used to love that one.
A bit of the devil in him there. Yeah.
Yes, he has actually. He's some unit. And he's been playing. The good thing with Ajax is they get all their players to play in different positions, don't they? They're not just one positional, which is But yeah, where do you see briefly, Eamonn, his position in the team? Do you think he's found his position?
I think he can play there, and I think I'd be more comfortable with him if Saliba was out playing in the centre as a right-footed player. You know?
Yeah, you see that.
But I also think that he's so good, and you know, because we've been stuck this year, he's so good that you could play him in a number 6 anchor role as well. You could, you know.
You wouldn't look out of place there, all right. I mean, and may continue his impressive run of form. Just briefly, Eamonn, I know you won't be around for our review show Monday. You're going to sunnier climes, aren't you, next week?
Yeah, well, all very good. I just want to mention one person that played for both clubs that no show should ever go without, and that's the great David Rocastle.
Yeah. Good shout out to him in the pub last night. Yeah, he was really sadly his knee gave in on him. But he was some pace on him. That documentary, Righty and Rocky, on BT Sport.
Anybody who hasn't done it, get onto YouTube, Rocky and Righty, and it'll. As our Man United friend Desi would have said it, bring it here to a glass eye.
I'd just like to say, Desi, if you're watching this, how's the fall sea, pal?
I lost one of them on a slice of old Mr. Brennan's bread.
Today's bread today.
Today's bread.
Big shout out to Richie White. He had a great show a few weeks ago. Just like to say, shout out to our UK governor, Carl Ozzy Osborne. Hope you're keeping well, mate, and hope to see you on soon. But in terms of our previous show, that wraps that one up. So to Matt, Eamonn, Megan, Michael, and all the crew that's going over for the match Sunday, have a good one, lads. And thanks very much for your time, Eamonn, for this evening. Check our show on Spotify and the Dublin Arts YouTube channel. As always, thanks to Derek and Martin for doing a great job editing. And until the next time, we'll see you again. Thanks, lads.
Thanks. See you, Jonathan.